Hello, Peter Van, the Dent Fix guy. Today we're showing you a video from Arizona at the Penske Truck Center. Trucks have a lot of aluminum parts to fix, and the DF-900 series of aluminum dent pullers is perfect for the task. So enjoy the video and learn about doing aluminum repairs on big trucks. And don't forget, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and join our newsletter at dentfix.com. And don't forget to talk to your local paint and tool vendors about when they're having their next Dent Fix clinic. Looking forward to seeing you out there and doing the right job. You guys ready? Yeah. All right. Hello everybody, I'm Peter Van, the Dent Fix guy, here to talk about doing some aluminum repairs. So we were just talking about how the stud welder works. So when you're using a stud welder on steel, basically you got a transformer, you put a ground on it, when you hit the button, it times the transformer and sends a certain amount of power through the pin, fuses the pin to the steel, and you can pull it out. The issues you run into aluminum is aluminum has half the melting temperature of steel, but 5 times the heat dissipation rate, which means it releases heat 5 times faster. So you actually use a little bit more power, but you have to do it really fast. So this uses what they call a capacitor discharge system. It's got a bunch of capacitors in there. Capacitors are basically an electronic device that takes in energy, stores it, and then it releases it in large amounts. So this thing's going to release my charge really, a lot of power, but really fast. Okay. So to turn on the welder, there's the main power switch on the back, power switch on the front. It always starts on 5. Okay. We always recommend you're going to start your welding on 3. Okay. Now, the presets go from 1 or low all the way up to H or high. So there's 10 different settings. If you look at when you push this button, it changes it to the voltage rating. So that's your actual telling you the power it's putting out. On 3, you're on 85, and you can go up 1 volt at a time. On 4, you're at 90. 5, you're at 100. 6, you're at 108. So it kind of steps up in a weird way. But the key thing is start it on 3. If you think you need more power, switch it to the voltage and bring it up 1 volt at a time. Okay? Don't overpower it because you can burn holes in things. All right. So that's how you're going to turn on your welder. 2 different types of studs. Silicon alloyed and magnesium alloyed. Okay? Honestly, I don't know what they are on these big trucks. We'll find out today. On the F-150s, what I've learned is most of the bolt-on sheet metal, the doors, the fenders, the hood, are silicon-based. Most of the structural sheet metal, B-pillars, rockers, that sort of thing, are magnesium-based. The magnesium alloyed aluminum's a bit stronger. Okay? So you got to pick the correct stud. It's pretty easy to tell if you have the wrong stud because it just doesn't stick. All right? So key things when working with aluminum. First thing you got to consider is galvanic corrosion. Okay, you can see this panel's actually been experienced that on this bottom edge. I'm assuming it was sitting on that edge probably. You're in a body shop, so I bet you there were steel fragments on the ground. The ground probably got a little bit wet, and now it's starting to corrode on this bottom edge here. All right. Galvanic corrosion happens very quickly, and if you feel this, it actually cuts into the aluminum. So it's super critical that you keep your aluminum repairs and your aluminum repair tools separated from your steel repair and your steel repair tools, as well as protect them even from the dust coming out of a body shop. Has a lot of steel fragments in it. Okay, because for instance, we have a set that comes with these nice polished steel hammers. Okay, so using these steel hammers on aluminum, you're never going to have a problem because the steel's harder than the aluminum. If you use these steel hammers on steel, the little fragments can embed into the hammer. It's not going to happen with aluminum because aluminum's softer. But then you start hitting the aluminum, you're beating steel into your aluminum panel. Okay? So that's why it's really critical to keep everything separated. You know, in the auto world, they want you to have a clean room or a curtained off area anytime you work on aluminum. And that is a real concern because if you get steel in there, you may not notice it until the guy brings it back for the warranty because the paint's bubbling up from underneath. All right, so galvanic corrosion, very critical. Our 2 main systems come in a toolbox, lockable, so tools don't migrate to other places. All locked up, covers up everything, as well as comes with a really well-bit, fitted cover to kind of seal everything off. And the big recommendation I make to anybody who has our system is the first thing you want to do is bring that thing out and blow off the cover. Take the cover off and set it to the side and then move the machine to wherever you're going to use it. All right? Because all the crap you don't want near your repair is on that cover. If you do that, you'll have a lot less problems. Okay, so the other thing you have to consider with aluminum is oxidation. So for instance, our 2 deluxe sets come with our coating removal tool. Okay, you want to use this to remove the coatings, the paint, whatever is on there. This thing works great. It's a fiber wheel, so it's not going to leave any impregnation into the aluminum. All right, if you use an angle grinder, I was just out at a shop helping him with the deck lid on or a hatch on a Suburban, and the guy had pulled out his typical angle iron and ground it down. Well, here's the problem. That's the same one he used on all the steel cars. So we embedded steel fragments in there, and it left really big gouges. And if you have those really big gouges, you're not going to get a good adhesion to your stud because you're not getting a good plane of the electrons to go through. You've got little gouges in there. So you've got high spots and low spots, which means you've got a little short circuit happening in there. This leaves a pretty clean panel. You can tell because it keeps it shiny. Okay, so that's your coating removal. Ultra critical before you put a stud down is brushing it with the stainless steel brushes. We send 2 of them for a reason. You can see I've been brushing it and this little black dust comes off. That's the oxidation on the panel. And if you look at how gray this is and how silver that is, it's because it's removed the oxidation. The oxidation is an insulator. So you go to try to burn a stud, it's not going to burn in well. Okay? As well as having insulation there can cause you to burn through because the power is getting interrupted and then released into the panel. All right? So the recommendation, and what I like to do is, so I'll figure out what I'm going to do. So let's say we start with this little ding right here. So I'm going to do 1 stud. This is my gun. Both of the ground planes are on the gun. Okay, it rotates so you can put it in any way you want. So it's really critical that you clean off the area for not just where your stud's going to go, but also where your grounds are going to hit, both of them. Okay, so if I'm going to do it here, I either want to bring it out here or bring it in this way so it's on the clean spot. Also, maintenance of your machine, check these out. If they start to get a little buildup of carbon on there, just take a little Scotch-Brite, clean them off. Again, continuity, getting the electrons to flow all the way through the circuit is critical. All right, so I'm going to pick a silicone stud. When you load these things, try not to touch the tip of it, because even your grease is going to be an insulator, right? And you'll notice there's a little nipple on the end of it. You definitely want to make sure that doesn't get damaged. So what I like to do is I'll stick it in there, and I just kind of use the edge of this on and push it in. You'll notice there's a little gap, about 1 millimeter, about a thumbnail worth. That's perfect. Okay, so we got that. Our voltage is set right. When I brush it, I'm going to use the big brush first. I'm going to cross brush it. So I'm going to brush it this way. Then I'm going to brush it this way. And then I'm going to do it twice. Then with the small brush, I'm going to cross brush it, but I'm going to brush it in one direction to kind of brush everything away. You know, when I'm using this one, I'm going back and forth. It's kind of breaking it down and all that, but it is swishing it back and forth. By brushing one way, it's taking all that stuff and just moving it off to the side. You're just going to push it down, and that'll install your stud. There's no trigger you have to push. This adjusts the height. Really important, you want to try to get it straight in there, right? Because if you get an angle, it's going to be weaker on one side than the other. Okay, so other things to know about aluminum. Aluminum does what they call work hardening. That means every time you bend it, it gets stiffer. Okay, steel, you shape it, it gets a little ding, it's got a memory, it wants to come out. Aluminum is the opposite. When you bend it again, it wants to stay in. So to relieve that, what you got to do is heat it up. So our unit comes with an electronic heat gun. Generally speaking, you want to get a little over 400 degrees. Ford says 420. Let's see if we get a little better stick with that.
Retain the memory.
Yeah. See how that one's. No, it's actually that's how fast it cools. Yeah, it's not like steel where it holds the heat. It lets it go. Yeah, I think that one might have stuck a little better. Trucks have a little bit heavier aluminum than we're used to in the automotive field. And in the interest of expediting things in the heat-up process, the shop decided that we wanted to use a torch instead of the supplied heat gun. At Denfix, we don't recommend the use of a torch. Torch brings in potential hazards that do not exist with the heat gun, and we have found that our heat gun, though it is a little slower, does do an adequate job to get the aluminum to the proper temperature so that it can be pulled. Galvanic corrosion, oxidation, work hardening, and heat. Those are your four basic things you got to think of when you're working on aluminum. Little bit different from steel. And then obviously picking the correct stud, because you can see the difference with having the incorrect stud.
Is there a way to figure out what's the correct stud other than trial and error?
Yes, specifications from the manufacturer, which I've been told is lacking in the truck business. Ford's real good at it. I mean, all of the car manufacturers, if you guys go into OEM1stop.com, it'll give you a direct link to all of the websites for the manufacturers. And for instance, Chrysler, Ford, and GM, free access. And it's got everything to do with collision repair. Every part they sell, how to put it on, you know, like where to section things, really good detail, measurements, everything. Apparently they're not the same way in the truck business. So now when I say that, like some of the websites, like if you go to BMW, they're going to charge you $80 to go on there for the day. But like I say, a lot of them are free, or some of them are really cheap, like $9.95 for the day, and you can get all the information you want. That's the best way to get it. If the manufacturers don't provide that, then you're back to trial and error. I'm sorry.
Once these are out of the package, is there a way to tell them apart if they get mixed up?
Kind of, but I really recommend you keep them separately. So if you look at them, they have a very, very slightly different color. Yeah, you know, you're smart enough to know that they're going to get mixed up, right? I mean, we always say, look, just keep them in these containers and you're fine. But if you look at the two different ones, and it's ever so slight difference. The magnesium's a little more silver. You can even actually see it through the bag a little bit. But I was just at a shop where they had stuck them all in here, and then that got upside down and it was all mixed up and we couldn't tell. You know, I was tying, okay, this one looks great, and we're doing it, and the only way to tell is I burned one in and it stuck real good, and I knew that was a silicon stud. So keep them separated, keep them labeled is your best bet, really. Some of the unique features, for instance, these little eyelets, these are the common ones that everybody has. Burn in your stud, screw them on, pull on it. We came up with the quick release eyelets, so you can put them on and on quicker. So we have 3 different setups. Okay, our Deluxe Unit, which is our 900 DXE, again, comes in the big box. Stud welder, studs, the brushes, the coating removal tool, the heat gun, the IR thermometer. It comes with 4 different pullers. So you've got your basic T-puller, and when it comes like Fords and stuff, you use this thing a lot. I mean, you get hot, it's just kind of like a little tug. Leverage puller, it gives you real good torque for some of your bigger, deeper dents. And on the stuff you guys are using, I can see you using these two a lot, because this stuff's a lot heavier than I'm used to, okay? We got our bridge puller, where you can go a pretty decent span, because you don't have to be within this part to pull, you can go all the way to the length of the rod. And then our squeeze puller, okay? So 4 different pulling devices. We also comes with the polished steel hammers, polished steel dolly set, plastic hammer set, plastic shaping tools, knockdown file, a pair of cutters for cutting off your studs, and then the full deluxe kit also comes with our aluminum hammer set and our plastic dolly set. And I swear you guys are going to laugh when you pick these up, and when you're working aluminum, it makes a difference. You want to control your swing because again, once it's heated up, it's going to move easier. For instance, when you're using the steel hammers and dollies, we recommend you do your strikes on a dolly off method. Otherwise, you compress the aluminum too much. When you use the aluminum hammers with our plastic dolly set, you can go hammer on dolly, okay? So that's our full deluxe set. So one step down, you lose a couple drawers. You get all of the tools we talked about, except for the aluminum dolly set and the aluminum hammers and the plastic dolly set. Set it backwards. We are just coming out, it'll actually be released next month, I'm told, with what we call our basic kit, which isn't going to include the toolbox. So it comes with the stud welder on a stand very similar to our Maxi stand. Matter of fact, it looks like a big Maxi when you're done. You guys have probably seen our Maxi dent puller. So it's going to look similar to that with this welder on top. That kit comes with the brushes, the studs, the lever puller and the T-puller, and the nips, okay? And that one, I mean, that starts at $44.95. All the other kits are $79.95 and $89.95. But it's a good starter kit when you're just getting going. You don't have to, I mean, it's almost half as much. You get the basic you need to start pulling on some aluminum, and from there, you'll decide how much you want to expand it. So those are the 3 sets that we have, starting at $44.95, going up to just under $9,000.
Did you bring the self-piercer?
Yeah, yep, right here. You got another stand we can use?